Today on Car Traction, we are at Capesthorne Hall for the August Classic Car Show, the last of the year. So hopefully we'll get a great turnout. We're here on Monday and we'll be seeing plenty of lovely classic cars, such as that little MG Midget 1500. Always a great showing of all sorts of classic MGs, MGBs. We are here in the little yellow MX-5 and a little bit of a sporty section. There should be a few other MX-5s here as well. So I think first of all, let's have a little look at some of the cars arriving and then check out what's already here. This Austin A40 Somerset in grey, looking very graceful, rolling into Capesthorne Hall for the August Classic Car Show. Hopefully we'll be seeing lots of that sort of thing here today. And just behind that, I hear the distinctive rumble of a BMW Z3 straight 6 over the little bump. That's actually a Z3M, so even faster, about 320 brake horsepower, something crazy like that in those. A very sharp Mark II Ford Cortina rolling in next, in red. Over the bump he goes. Oh, I remember that car. That's actually a Savage. I believe it has a V6 modified engine in it. It was here earlier this year. That's a proper sleeper actually, I remember that. But it certainly doesn't look, it looks like any other Cortina from the outside, but on the inside it is a very, very impressive bit of kit. 190 Mercedes. There you go, just a little deft flick of the wheels over the bump, very comfy. We get a little demonstration of American suspension over the bump with the Thunderbird as well. What a stylish car that is. Sounding lovely as well. More modern Mercedes, there's going to be a few of those here today as it is Mercedes Day. There's a 90s fast forward, can't quite tell what model that is from here, I'm afraid I'll have to have a look at the back of that one. Very clean condition. That's an Escort RS, that one, and a very nice looking E30 BMW. Is that perhaps a 325? And that's a 320. Love those cars. Mercedes, a Ford Capri, a little scrape of the exhaust as it goes over, unfortunately. I'm sure we'll be hearing a few of those here today. Nothing from the Mercedes. XR3i convertible, and a lovely Volvo P1800 in red. Isn't that just gorgeous? As it makes quite the scrape over. I like the rear lights on that one actually, I haven't seen that before. Unfortunate little scrape, but I'm sure it's alright. Porsche 944 in white. One of Porsche's few front engine sports cars, a Mustang Fastback here. Very cool indeed, 289 V8 engine. That's of course cubic inches, not cubic centimetres like we use here in Europe. And yet another Mercedes. I said there'd be MGBs here today, and here's a very nice GT in blue, immaculate condition. That is incredible. Love that. And yet another very posh Mercedes. Some more fast forward goodness. There's a very sharp looking Mark I Escort rally car over there. I'm sure that's got a lovely intake sound from, I presume, the twin Webers on that 4-cylinder, probably about 2 litres. And there's a slightly later Escort, I believe, just next to that, perhaps an RS 1600i, that one I think, with that little decal on the bonnet. So we'll have to have a look as it comes past. Looks like the Mark I's coming past first. Little bounce over the bump there. Now am I right? There we go, RS 1600i. XK150 convertible, very brave in this weather, but a beautiful car. Now, what is this? This is a Clan. Haven't seen that one before. Always see a few new cars here today. Lots of obscure cars, which is great to see. Challenging my classic car knowledge. There's also a Corvette up there, just behind the very glaring headlamps of the Tesla. Great looking cars those, aren't they? Great sounding as well. That's from 66. Taking it very easy over the bump. I love those rims as well. Can I call them rims? Sounding very lovely. Looks great in blue. So, let's have a little look around some of the classic cars parked up, starting off with this beautiful MGB GT in blue. Absolutely immaculate condition, I love that. That is a beautifully presented car. A couple of TVRs here, TVR Griffith. And a T350T, that's a rare little car. Slightly sort of smaller version of the Cigaris. And I love the look of this little Moggy Minor 1000 here, looking very original indeed. I always prefer to see one in like this sort of condition than shined up and restored. It's always good to see one, perhaps how they would have been in the sort of 70s and 80s. Great time warp car there. Beyond that, on the other end of the spectrum, is this absolutely stunning Derby Bentley. Beautifully bodied. Let's have a little look at the information on this then. 1936 Bentley 4.5 litre coach built body by Kellner of Paris. That is such a stunning car. I'd imagine it's a straight six of 4.5 litres. There's actually the bodying company little plaque there. What a beautiful car this is. Produces about 125 brake horsepower. I can see there it's 4-speed gearbox with a modern overdrive fitted, so which basically makes it about 5-speed. I like the GB plate as well. I like how it's blended in to sort of make it look the same as the reg on the other side. What a stunning pre-war car there. Hopefully we'll be seeing a few more pre-war cars like that here today. A little 50s car here in the form of this Riley Elf. That's actually 60s, sorry. This is a 67 car actually. April, good month. It's E-Reg. Perhaps a more modern steering wheel, but very lovely inside, of course, mini based. They did the Wolseley variant, the Wolseley Hornet, what's it called, I'm pretty sure, and the Riley Elf. Very lovely little colour in the blue and white. And one of the slightly rarer variants of the likes of the Mini. This is a Mark III, and like in the period correct first aid kit and radio in the back. Also quite jazzy wing mirrors. They look quite cool on it, don't they? I like the look of that. Beyond that is a lovely Jaguar Mark II. Let's have a little look what engine this one has. It's a 2.4 litre car. This one's so the smallest of the straight sixes in lovely dark blue. I prefer these slightly earlier cars with the larger bumpers at the front. I think it suits them a lot better. This one is in beautiful condition. Really stunning car there. And I'm sure it'll sound the part as well. Next to that, the little MG Midget 1500, the last of the midgets, competing with the likes of the Spitfire. But ironically, these cars have the Spitfire 1500 engine and running gear. Very small little interior, of course. Midget, it's going to be small, but it's smaller than the likes of the MGB. And a very cute little car indeed. Lovely little lineup there. The HA is the first of the Vivas, in the 60s I believe these are. What a pretty car that is. I actually really like that. And while it may look sort of rough on the outside, if we actually look in there, it is really solid on the arches and underneath. And that's just how I'd want one of these. It looks brilliant like that, I think. I love that. I bet that's got an interesting story to it. What a great car. That is a 65 car, found in a barn in Ipswich in 2012, saved from the scrapyard. What a great time up there. I love that. Always nice to see him in that condition. And here's a bit of a crazy car. A Rover P6 this was at one time. Look at that steering wheel as well. It's like a hexagonal, I think, or octagonal steering wheel. That's how he got it. He made the body himself. Let's have a look at the front of this. I think it's actually a very cool looking car. Not your usual sort of Rover P6, but very interesting nonetheless. Incredible car. Also love the look of this little Renault 8. I believe this is a Gordini car with those wheels. Tuned up engine, I believe. They're definitely rear engine, but I believe the Gordini engine makes about 95 brake horsepower. I think that's about right. So not much by modern standards, but it is more than enough in something like this. Very light little car and great fun. A bit quicker than the likes of our Renault. I believe these are called a Renault Alpine GTA, if I'm making any mistakes. Or if you just want to let me know that you like any of the cars here today, please do give us a little type in the comments below. Don't see many of these in white. Mid-engine these are, or rear-engined, depending on which way you look at it. I like the wheels on it as well. And here is another very rare car, Datsun 280 ZX. You don't see many of these later ones. You occasionally see a few of the likes of the 240 and 260, but you don't see these 280s very often. Pretty much tailored for the likes of the American market. I believe these bumpers have something to do with the American market. Very late and very rare variant there. Nissan Figaro, just beyond that, based on a Micra. Fun little car. And there's a Maserati Mirac SS here in blue. Very sharp indeed. There's an Escort Mexico. Love the look of this little Riley 1.5 here. If you've probably watched even one of my videos before, you'll know I absolutely love these little cars. The sportier variant of the Vauxhall 1500, same engine, but twin carb in these. I believe these had a lot of the likes of the Morris Minor running gear, so very practical indeed. I prefer the front of the Riley, probably. But of course, as it's the sporty one, it's a bit more desirable, of course. But the Vauxhall 1500 is still a lovely car nonetheless. As yet another big old Mercedes rolls past. I love that. Second MGB GT here. This is a chrome bumper car. I believe the other one might have been a recessed grille or a honeycomb grille, but no, this is the chrome grille on this one, next to the mint Riley 1.5. Lovely condition. Very tasty Mark II RS 2000 with the changed front for the fastest of all the variants of the Mark II Escort. These sort of things are extremely desirable now, and from here I can see why. I just want to say as well, love the colour. Really pops in that, and it is in incredible condition. Really love that. And here is its older brother, the Mark I Escort. I don't quite know what model this is. I do know that it's got some nice lamps. This is a 1600 GT in the black and gold livery, which looks very sharp indeed. Nice little pair. Oh, it's become a trio now, because there's yet another Mark I Escort here. This one with the iconic bubble arches associated with the rally cars now in historic rallying and rallying in period. Nice Sibby, I think you want to call those. Lamps on the front, mini light wheels, very grippy looking tyres as well. Stripped out interior. Usual sort of spec for a rally car, roll cage in there as well, of course. Another great little rally car is this little Mini. Perhaps a Mark III? I don't know actually. Let's have a little look around the back. It's got Mark I lights on the back, but I can't see any external door hinges, and the grille is later. And I'm not Dad, so I don't quite know what year that registration is, but I think that's had the Mark I backlight kit on it, because the grille and lack of external door hinges suggests, I believe this is probably a Mark III car, but let me know if I'm getting something wrong. Sat very far back in these. Really cool that, isn't it? I like these little Revolution wheels. Really suit this car. Period mod. Or Sibby, I think they're called. Lamps on the front. Brilliant that, isn't it? What a great little car. Joining the little rally lineup. And here is one of these, I believe these are called like a monkey folding bike or something. Sort of thing people used to parachute with on their backs, but this one looks like a more civilian sort of thing. Interesting little find. And an absolutely beautiful Volvo P1800. I believe the styling of these is not dissimilar to the likes of 60 Ferraris. I just love this chrome strip going down the side, flicks up for the door handle, and then goes back into the tail fin at the back of the car. Really pretty car in my opinion, and a bit more of a left field choice. And here is the immaculate MGB. This Series 1 E-Type's parked here again. This is a 2+2 car, because as you can see, a couple of seats in the back there, higher roofline to accommodate that. So you can just, well, I guess you can call it 4 seats, but I don't know if you can fit 4 people in it. Maybe 2 adults and 2 kids in the back. With the 4.2 straight 6 up front, bored out from 3.8, and in stunning condition. Here is the Mark II Cortina that, as I said earlier, hides a little secret. The only thing that really gives it away is this little badge here, Savage. Now that Savage is sort of like a period tuning modding thing, and I believe I talked to the owner of this car last year. I believe it's got a sort of hot V6 engine up there, which is very interesting indeed. Nice gold rims as well. I saw a race prep one of these on our holiday in Devon. But it's great to see a sort of sleeper classic car, because that has got some serious performance behind it. You can actually see it says 3000E on the back, so a 3 litre 6-cylinder engine. Pretty sure it's a V6. Lovely interior as well. I think the owner of this car is a V8 swapped Capri as well, which also sounds a bit mad, but this one's a bit sort of more period correct. Very tasty little Mini here, very shiny with the Raleigh chopper on the roof and a Civic Type R. Beautiful looking Capri here in the light blue, really lovely colour, stunning paint job. I can't imagine that's original because that just looks fantastic. Nice period correct registrations as well with the white background and black text. Remember seeing this car up the hill over there last year, but now it's down here and it is absolutely beautiful. Citroen 2CV6, I believe these are some of the latest ones. This is a Dolly edition. They did all sorts of special editions like the Bamboo. Very characterful little car, about 620cc I want to say, so not the fastest but all good fun. This one went to Autos de France where I filmed some great 2CV racing and a little incident that happened in turn 1, so if you haven't checked that out please do after watching this video in full of course. Very tasty MGB GT here, the third one. Some nice black mini lights, very nicely presented indeed. There's a Golf Cabriolet here. Another MGB GT, I like the little front lip of that, a great colour as well. A Ford Consul here, stunning 60s saloon car. Of course the American influence design, you can see it written all over this. Nice Lucas lamps at the front, spot lamps, and a nice sun visor as well. Many of these 60s, 50s saloons, this is 60s, but ever since the 50s it all went to column shift, similar to the Americans. I like the little radio under there as well. Very nice and period. You also got the likes of the pull-out handbrake underneath the dash, which is quite unfamiliar for anyone learning to drive one of these, but really beautiful, beautiful car. And yet another MGB. And now a closer look at this beautifully presented Austin A40. Somerset's dad had a bit of history with these. Really, really graceful design here. Looks lovely in the grey. Very fresh paintwork. Column shift in there as well. Not exactly sure what engine size, perhaps like 0.9 of a litre or maybe just over a litre, I don't know. Nice original reg. What a beauty that is. Really, really nicely presented for the show today here at Capesthorne Hall. Love the shape of those. More modern Mercedes. Now this is an interesting little car. I believe this is a Talbot Matra. There's a useful bit of information here. The Talbot Matra Marina 2.2. Well, the interesting thing about these is, and I hope you can see this, is there's not one, not two, but 3 seats in there in very crazy covering. Must be one of the only cars with 3 seats wide that isn't a McLaren F1. Production run from 1981 to 84. 2.2 litre mid-engined. 118 brake horsepower with a weight of 1,050 kilograms. That'll take it to 0 to 60 in 9 seconds, which is very brisk indeed. What an interesting little car that is. So you got this big canopy at the back here, and then the engine is somewhere under there. What an incredible car that is. Saw one of these at the Autos de France, but I didn't actually get a close look at it, so here we are. Really rare, and I must say it looks brilliant in this red. What a beautiful looking car that is. I like the sort of period font around the front. That is a very sharp car indeed, actually. The Cheshire Classic Car Club have got all their classic cars out here today at Capesthorne. But I'm going to have a little look at this Clan on the end here because I haven't seen this one before on their stand or ever. There is another yellow one that goes around, but not one like this. This one's a bit different in the fact that the other one had pop-up headlights, but this one's just got little LEDs modified into there, which is an interesting mod. Really like the colour scheme with the black and yellow. Never seen one like that. It looks very good. Very sharp indeed. Here's the Mustang Fastback. We've seen many of these cars before, so I won't dwell on too many of them. I like the look of this Spitfire actually. Mark 5 1500 with a white hardtop. Pontiac Firebird gets absolutely everywhere. Followed it in a while ago. S2000. Lotus. As does this MG with a very interesting little custom, I don't know what to call it, cover over the front. That's an interesting little mod. As does this lovely console Cortina and the E-Type on the end. Just past this stunning Riley 1.5 is a bit of BMC goodness, an Austin Cambridge. Farina design, of course, in this period. I'm sure Dad will like that one. Pretty car those, aren't they? Farina's influence spreading all through BMC in the 60s. And there's evidence of it on that Cambridge. A bit of an American section here. Here's the Ford Thunderbird with the Fat Boy steering wheel on demonstration. Swing it to the right and then you can get out properly. Really pretty car, but I won't dwell on it too much because I've seen it before. Now this is an interesting car. Lincoln, is it a Continental? Perhaps a very late Continental. Of course a V8 in this, it just has to be, doesn't it? There you go, Continental Mark 8. It's a bit of a wacky car. I'm not saying I like the look of it particularly, but it's certainly interesting. Of course, automatic as most American cars, even from the 60s were. That'll be an auto, as will that. A few Corvettes here. This is the Z06 modern shape of them, I believe. This is a Camaro, I believe this is the ZL1 or ZR1. I don't quite know. Modern Mustang, 5 litre V8. Corvette, I believe these are auto as well. Have a little look through here. It's an SVT Cobra Ford Mustang there. And the brilliant Corvette here, perhaps a bit of a hot engine. That's a 427 actually in there, which is very impressive indeed. Let's have a look around the back of this. What a stunning car that is. I love these sort of spoke, can you call it spokes? I don't know, but I love those wheels on them. That is really a very special looking car. Dodge Charger, love these. Very stylish Dodge Challenger. Two sort of 70s or late 60s muscle cars there, very typical. Here's another Ford Mustang. This is a 66 car, one of the ones with the boot instead of the fastback. And here's a Mach 1, you don't see many of these in green. This one's slightly later. I'd imagine it's also an auto, yeah, there you go. Many American cars of this period, since the sort of 60s, up until probably the 80s or 90s even, had a 3-speed auto. And here is this absolutely incredible Buick, I believe this is, says limited on the side. I've seen it a couple of times before and it doesn't get old because let's just have a look at that paintwork. Just look how beautifully clean that is. All the chrome is absolutely gleaming. Let's get a proper view of the back. Such an incredible looking car. Saw this one at Goresworth. Amazing curved glass front and back, and just comes all together for an absolutely stunning car. That is a Buick. Can we see what year it's from? 58, Michigan. Incredible car. Next to the very low Chevy. Very smart Corvette here. The twin headlights, so it's an early car. Not quite the earliest, but I'd say it's like a Mark II or equivalent of. This is a cabriolet as well. Little information, 59, there you go. There you go, designer Harley Earl, good name. 4637cc small block V8 engine. That says a lot about America, doesn't it? 4.6 litres, a small block. 290 brake, that's a lot actually. Some of the sort of 70s, 80s American cars, they're like something crazy like 7 litre or something, but they only make like 150 brake horsepower, which is crazy. But then that's actually a manual as well, matched up to a manual gearbox. That would be very exciting. 290 brake horsepower, and that is very quick for 59. And a really stunning car. Very, very lovely indeed. These would have probably come under as an auto, I'd imagine, but nice to see a manual one. I think manual always involves a bit of a more sort of involved driving experience instead of, I presume, that Camaro being an auto as well. And I'd imagine this Stingray Corvette is also an auto. Some of these were manual. Oh, this is actually a manual one, but many of these were autos, so that's actually a very rare spec of this one. There's a very sporty sounding Escort over there. 73 Florida Sunshine State. These old American plates are actually helpful because they say what year the car's from. And I don't think I did this Chevy pickup enough justice. Let's have a closer look at some of the mods. Got the American racing rims. We see those on pretty much every hot rodded type car. Extremely low. I don't think you'll catch the Dodge pickup like this, but it is interesting to see. It's had a lot of work done to it. I love the shape of that Speedo. That is a really cool little touch. What a great colour as well. Very pretty old truck. Bit low for me probably, but still cool nonetheless. I also love the look of this station wagon over here with the wood effect down the side. That's 380, it says on the side, but that'll be cubic inches, CI, not CC, cubic centimetres. That's also from California. Like our Dodge pickup, a 68. That'll probably be an auto, I'd imagine. Got the wood effect down the side. How brilliant is this? Imagine all the stuff you could fit in the back. There. This is an automatic, but it's a column shift automatic. What a brilliant car that is. It's a Ford actually, I can tell you now, but it's quite hard to tell with that sort of thing, but just look how far back it goes. Brilliant, brilliant station wagon. Also worth mentioning this Lincoln Continental here from 1979 from Ohio. Incredible condition actually, you never see them in blue. And blue, very plush interior as well. Can't actually see it unfortunately, but it is absolutely crazy in there. Let's have a look at the information. Only 6,000 miles from 1979. Collector's Series. I love all the names they put in script on the side of these old American cars. What a brilliant, brilliant find that is. It's actually got quite similar rims to the likes of the Corvette. Real wafter, isn't it, really? Sort of thing you see bouncing around in many sort of 70s TV series. But it's interesting to see one in this colour. I've never seen a blue one. Oh, the chrome is absolutely immaculate all around the grille. They got this chrome strip along the top here, which comes along into a very interestingly shaped door mirror, and then continues, and then a little flick up, and then it goes just round the back. So a lot of style's been put into that absolutely huge car. There must be a good ton's worth of chrome in that just on its own. That's an incredible find. It's always interesting, these vinyl roofs as well they put on them. It's just so interesting looking at these real time warps. If you like fast forward, you're in for a treat here. An XR3i Cabriolet from the 90s. And a Sierra XR4i. This one sounded quite fruity on the way in. V6 of course in these. I don't know as much about these late cars unfortunately, but I'll do my best. That looks very sharp actually, quite like that. Absolutely immaculate Fiesta here. Just look at the decals down the side, looks brilliant. Loving the silver and the immaculate rims. What an incredible looking car that is. Looks brand new, even better. That's a 1.7 Super Sport, so a very obscure variant. The interior is cool as well. I love these seat covers, and of course there's my reflection there. And here is the RS 1600i, probably rarer than the likes of the RS I'd imagine. There's a Focus RS, bit more modern. Another very purposeful looking Sierra, something a bit older now. And here's the RS 1600 Mark 1, bit of a rally car here with the Sibi lamps on the front. This sounded very tasty on the way in, and it certainly has the looks to back up the sound. Really sharp looking car. I like the rear mounted spot lamp as well. Another beautifully presented MGB GT here, looking very sharp on those painted wires. Loving that. And here is an MG Magnet. This is the Veritone, the two-tone in the cream and red. Very sharp. All the period accessories here, Lucas lamps, little mesh over the lamps there as well, and all sorts of badges on the front. Really like the shape of those actually. Here is a car I see very often, a light blue MGB Roadster Mark 1 pull door handle, immaculate car, an MGR V8, what came after the MGB, after it discontinued in 85 I want to say. Please let me know if I'm getting anything wrong, and if you like any of the cars here. This is a TF as well. Very small interior, I'm having to really stoop to get an interior view there. I love all the octagonal touches on these. You can see the MG badge, and then it's reflected in the radiator filler thing. I don't quite know what to call it. Just great sort of design. Really, the bonnet releases of these, or certainly the earlier cars, like the TC, the separate headlights, they had like the MG bonnet releases, which look very good indeed. Another MGB Roadster here. Mark III Cortina here in a very 70s colour on the end. You can also see the American influence here. Got the Coke bottle shaped rear window, the line of the body going up like that. Great colour in this, sort of yellowy orange. Looks brilliant in that colour, really period correct. And this is an interesting rare car. This is a Vauxhall Senator, 3 litre V6. Presume it's automatic, yeah. 3-speed auto as well, so you can see 3-speed auto's got everywhere. I'm sure they made an Opel version of these as well. This might actually be a diesel. But actually, if we have a little look on the reg, it says 3 litre CD, which would suggest it might be a 3 litre diesel. I don't know. It actually says CD on the side as well. I haven't heard this car running. But a very interesting rarity. Now this is a great pairing. Yet another rally prepped Mark I Escort. Really sort of quintessential stereotype car to go rallying in. It looks great again, I'm sure that sounds very good. And here's the lovely XK150 Cabriolet. Really like these. I like the little touch of the times they won Le Mans. The likes of their D-types and C-types. Of course, they won on that tragic year at Le Mans in 1955, where Mercedes withdrew from racing for the rest of the 20th century, I think. Only returned to the likes of F1 in about 2008. I don't know. Please don't quote me on that. But let's get back to this XK150. Drop head coupe, I believe these are meant to be called actually, instead of a cabriolet. And a stunning car. There's also plenty of automobilia here for sale. I've actually already bought something a bit sillily. Is that word sillily? I don't know. But it was a bit silly of me to buy something. I might have bought something rather large, which I may or may not have to have on my lap on the way back in the MX-5. I'll feature it later in the video, so make sure to keep watching to see what I've already bought today. But I don't think it's going to be the most comfortable journey back, just because I've got to have this thing on my lap in a little pokey MX-5. I like the look of this police Morris Minor, or polite Morris Minor. That's a great little twist. Plenty more Escorts if you like your fast forwards, and an American spec Mercedes, or although I believe actually that might be like African, but I think it's American. Aston Martin, Honda, there's a TVR just behind there as well, and a Triumph TR3. Here is a Nissan Skyline GTR with a very large exhaust. Hope you can see I'm wearing size 10 boots. I mean, size 13, isn't it? Yeah, what size are your boots?
These are 10 as well. So
I mean, you could probably fit both of our feet in there.
It's about a 10 or 11.
I'm sure it makes a lovely sound from that. The 6-cylinder, highly tunable engine that you get in these GTRs. Not sure how much power. Oh, here we go. Let's see how much power it gets. It appears to be at about 600 brake horsepower, I believe. 621.5 brake horsepower, which is very crazy indeed. And that's what I mean, so tunable, it's incredible really. R33 GTR from 1995, and there is a list of all the engine modifications. Let alone all the rest of the body. This has a bit of a Nismo body kit, that's a Nismo front bumper. Nismo being the sort of period Nissan tuning. There's a very crazy Bedford goes past. Never seen anything like that, look at that. But this Nissan is quite a car to behold. I like the look of those rims as well. 600 brake horsepower, and that's pretty mad. More modern McLaren here, not quite a classic car, but we'll let it pass. It's a 570 GT V8 mid-engine, and this is much more my sort of thing. Great little Mazda MX-5. I like the hardtop on this car actually. Good to see a few NA Mark I cars. Mercedes 190. And here's a Toyota Sierra, I believe these are car. These are called For Sale. Great little quirky car. I'd daily drive one of these if I could. Probably could. Automatic. These are a 3-speed as well, I think, actually, which does take a bit of the performance out of the tiny engine that's already got in it. But what an interesting car to drive around in that is. And is totally right being here in a classic car show, because that's such an interesting car. Another Mercedes here for sale. This is the NC Mark III MX-5. Widely known as one of the sort of more softly sprung MX-5s, I believe these are. Next to the extremely sharp looking Mark II with the hardtop in red. Extremely shiny as well. Now let's have a little look over here. What I think is a great car. This is no normal BMW Z3. That little badge gives it away on the back. This is a Z3M, which is an absolutely insane car, really. I think it's a really good looking car, but these have a 321, I believe, brake horsepower, straight 6 in it. Usually they have a 1.8 4-cylinder, 2.2, 2.8 and 3 litre. I hope I'm right there. But these have the E36 M3 engine, really good engine, very tunable, but even unmodified, 321 brake horsepower. And you're sat right over the rear tyres in a Z3, which makes it very exciting indeed. And a great looking car as well. Dad used to have a slightly modified 2.8 car, but a Z3M really is a special car. Great sound and brilliant performance for a car for the 90s. That'll go really well. Here's a Fiat Abarth. I like the harking back to the period Abarth rally cars with the matte black bonnet. It's a Ford Escort, is it, I believe, here. I'm not too good on this sort of 80s, 90s stuff. I need to brush up on it. There you go, an Escort 1.4 LX. Good to see a few of the sort of base spec cars. Always interesting to compare the fast Fords and the not so fast Fords. Mazda MX-6. This is a really good looking car. Talking to the owner of this earlier. I believe there are only about 60 of them or so. Quarterly number of vehicles. Also, I'm not smart enough to understand that graph, I'm afraid. But I do know that these are a very sharp looking car, and surely it's going to be a future classic. Especially this one, because it is in beautifully presented red, looking very sharp indeed. And now, this is a bit new. What on earth is this? A Hyundai Accent Coupe, 1998. 25 years old today. That's a rare, interesting little car. Another Mark 1 MX-5, looking very nicely modified. Wolf Race wheels. Well, you don't see many modern Wolf Race wheels. Interesting style. This is actually a Unos, I believe, with the Nardi Torino racing wheel. And all sorts of little wooden bits that you get with the Unos instead of the UK market MX-5. So this car will have been imported back to the UK at some point in its life. Looking very sharp indeed in black. Great shape, aren't they? Here is an AC Schnitzer E36. So this is the M3 version of these, the ones with the 321 brake horsepower, 3.2 straight 6 that went into the Z3M we saw earlier. But this one, it's not an M3, but it's AC Schnitzer modified, which is another, it's like Alpina to BMW, another period modding and tuning company. AC Schnitzer all over it, so it's like basically a little body kit. The engine might be a bit tickled up as well. But an interesting car, that. It is an interesting car. Nice to see some of the sort of period mods. Porsche 944. Another Mercedes. Seeing plenty of these here today. And we're back at the little 1.4 GLX, was it? I'm afraid I've forgotten already. Oh, LX, there you go. Loads of lovely sort of slightly sporty cars here. Another NB MX-5. An MG Maestro. Very quick little car. Another little Mini. Is this a Nissan Sunny, perhaps? Let's have a look around the back. No, it's a Nissan Micra. Oh, that's an early one, isn't it? C-Reg. And wow, it is immaculate. And there, it's an automatic gearbox, which probably drains most of the performance, unfortunately. But you know, it's not a performance car, is it? What an interesting little time warp. A Capri. And another NC MX-5. next to an unmodified NA Mark 1. Here's the 320i BMW, sharp looking car. There's the E30, the one that came before the E36, both 3 Series. These more 80s, 36 more 90s. Here's a very smart looking Capri, a 2-litre car, 4-cylinder. Bit of a jazzed up engine in there as well, very sharp indeed. Another fast Ford Escort. And here is an interesting little MX-5, but I believe, yes, this car is supercharged, I believe, which is an interesting little modification. You can turbo them and you can supercharge them, so you can get best of both worlds. It's an interesting car, that. A very interesting mod indeed, as a Chimera rolls past. Here we are, walking up to the Grand Estate to have a look at some of the Mercedes cars that are on show up here. Here are all the Mercedes-Benz cars. Let's just cut through here to have a little look at this lovely 220S. I believe these are known as the Ponton shape of cars. Don't know which W it is, but isn't that beautiful? Looks so sleek in the silver. In a drop head as well, very rare. That is so sleek. Left-hand drive. So perhaps originally a German car. I think they drive on the wrong side of Germany, don't they? Column shift. Some of these earlier cars were column shift. I love how the interior is mellowed. I reckon this is probably like a older restoration, maybe 20, 30 years ago, because the paint is sort of mellowed beautifully. It doesn't look fresh, like right out of the resto, which I think is good, but it looks really nice. It must be satisfying to aim the nose of your car down that pointed star. Plenty of SLs here as well. Also plenty of these larger Mercedes. An SL in bronzy gold, I want to call that. Not quite sure that's the actual name they used for the factory paint colour, bronzy gold, but we'll do our best. That's a 380 SL. I believe these were a 280 and a 220 as well, so 380, one of the larger engined cars. In the centre here is an absolutely stunning W108 Tourer, I guess I can call it convertible. Really high spec, the likes of the saloons. Dad's been looking at a few of the saloons with hungry eyes recently. Just take one look at that interior, absolutely stunning inside. Unfortunately, the reflections aren't doing me any favours really, but just look at that. That's such a huge car. It's actually only a 220, which is quite a small engine for that actually. It's still a 6-cylinder, but these were sold as a 280 and a 3.5 litre, I believe. So the 220 is actually the smallest engine, but all Mercedes engines have a great reputation for doing hundreds of thousands of miles, just only needing regular service, and I'm sure this engine is no different. Can we see the mileage on this car? No, unfortunately not. I'm sure it's a lot, but it doesn't look like a lot, does it? Because the quality of these cars is just incredible. Another Ponton. I'm sure these are called Ponton. These cars, this one in black, a saloon. This might be like a 4-cylinder. Some of these were sold as diesels actually. But a beautiful car. An SL, the earlier SL. Hardtops of these were known as the Pagodas, but this is a convertible car. Stunning condition with the chrome gleaming in white. What a lovely Tourer. That is a little sports car. Very nice indeed. Here's a W123 in the same colour as that SL. Same colour interior actually. That's cool inside, isn't it? Like that. This is actually a manual. Many of these cars would have been auto, but seeing a manual one's quite rare. So that's actually quite a rare little variant. Really presentable looking car. Very smart indeed. There are plenty more sort of modern Mercedes, like a 190e and many SLs, but I know we're more about some of the classic stuff, so I won't feature too many of those. Let's just concentrate on some of these beautiful older examples here in front of the lovely Capesthorne Hall. A few more modern cabriolets and convertibles, SL, still a smart looking car I think. There's another lovely 80s SL X-Reg. Really beautiful car those. More SLs, yeah, more SLs, plenty of those here today. Very sleek cars indeed. I do prefer the look of the older ones. Don't quite know which W This one is. But it's just, the quality of these is just tip top. It's just absolutely amazing. Tip top's probably a bit of a cruel phrase to use, but they just have got a brilliant reputation for quality. And this SL is no exception. Looks stunning in black. Very shiny. Black's hard to keep looking nice. I believe all of these were auto, I think.
Probably last night's supper.
Over here is a brilliant rarity, a Jowett Javelin in two-tone with silver and blue. How great is this? Column shift coming off the steering column. Let's have a little look at the engine here. Now these are very interesting cars, as you can see. You can unclip the top of the grille from there. So if you just want to get to, say, change your fan belt or something, you can, these grills, they can hinge out, or you can unclip them with just a couple of bolts there. And I believe you can actually take off this bottom bit as well for access. It's all thought with sort of fixing it in mind. It's interesting design, of course, as the radiator is actually behind the main block of the engine. These have a boxer four-cylinder engine in them, which makes them quite fast actually, but it saves load of space, as you can see. If you sort of look at the whole bonnet, the radiator's there, and the engine, oh, there's a wasp landing on my camera, sorry. The engine only starts there, which is quite crazy, and it's sort of really sort of mounted low down, and it's just a crazy design. It wasn't very popular in period, I don't know, but it's just a really interesting car, that, and I've never seen one in a colour like that. Dad used to have one for a short while in red, but he was quite put off by the fact that you can't really get to the spark plugs very well. Everything else you can get to, like changing the fan belts, you can get to the dizzy cap there if the points are a bit dirty, but as it's a boxer, the spark plugs are somewhere down there on the side. So it's a bit of a weird design. They've thought of everything but the spark plugs, unfortunately, so that's what put us off our old one we had for a few months, but everything else you can pretty much get to, so it's a fascinating design. I hope I've given you a bit of an insight there into the boxer engine and the Jowett Javelin, but it's a really interesting car indeed. Here's another great little pairing. Got the Citroen BX diesel auto and a Renault 4CV. Bit far for us in ours, unfortunately, but we've got this one here today, which is good to see. This one's competed in the million about the 80s, I believe, and it sounds just as sort of purposeful as ours. They've got a really great raspy tone to them. These, the 750cc. It's brilliant to see another one. Beyond the HA Viva is another regular standard Vanguard Phase 1. Engine on show in the 280ZX straight 6, one of the latest variants. As you can see, Nissan overhead cam, says on it just single cam, of course being a straight 6, but there you go. These were all very aimed towards the American market, but I don't think they did very well. And the 280s are never really as popular even now. 240s and 260s, once you take the bumps off the 260s, it just looks like a modified 240, and then you can fit like the kamikaze body kit, but the 280s were never as popular with people who modify them or people who bought them in period. But now I think they're becoming a bit of a classic in their own right. They still will never be as sort of legendary and well liked as the likes of the 240 and 260, but it is a very interesting car nonetheless, and a real sort of left field choice for 70s, 80s motoring, or GT motoring, because I'm sure this would devour the miles. It's probably an auto, there you go, 3-speed auto. So as soon as you wind it up, it'll stay there pretty well, and it's very comfortable. Being made for the American market, of course, it'll be made for sort of wide roads and motorways. So it's a really interesting car, that, and it's a great find. Oh, well, I think this section I'm going to love. There's an Alfa Romeo 2000 Spider here, an early 60s car, probably late 60s. The iconic twin cam Alfa engine. I believe this might have been a 5-speed gearbox as well. Beautiful sounding car, and a beautiful looking car as well. Just what a gorgeous front is on these. This one is absolutely immaculate as well. Really stunning car. Love that. Next to that is an absolutely lovely Lancia Fulvia. I love these as well. Great sounding V4. Am I right in saying engine? I'm not sure actually. It's got twin Solex carbs on it. I want to say it's a V4, but correct me if I'm wrong. Just a beautiful, beautiful car, these. Really do love them. They can be very sporty indeed if you sort of tune up the engine a little bit. Great colour as well, actually. I like that colour. K-Reg, beautiful condition. Left-hand drive. Really beautiful car. Nice to see an unmodified one, actually. While they do look great modified, it's nice to see an unmodified road one. I'm sure Dad will like this little Italian Esso sticker on the front of the bonnet there. What a stunning little car that is. And finally, we've seen a Triumph TR6 here. It's been a while since I've seen one of these. Amazingly, there are no Triumph Stags here either. Oh, there's another TR6 over there, but no Stags. That's incredible, but luckily enough, we got a couple of TRs here. TR6, the 2.5 straight 6 injected engine. Don't know how many times I've said that. And I really love this purple. You get it on all sorts of Triumph cars like Spitfires, GT6s, and the TR6, and maybe a Dolomite. But it's a really great colour, I think. Very groovy 70s design, of course. Late 60s as well, actually, you could say. It's the MGA in white, 1600. Mini here. The immaculate MG Midget 1500. A great pairing of little 2 CVs. De Chevaux. Austin Princess. See that Mini quite often. Fiat 600, that gets to quite a few places. Now this is a little car, interesting little car. I believe this is a Nissan POW. I know absolutely nothing about it, but very strange indeed. Really interesting. I like the little chrome wheels as well. Is this perhaps micro-based? I don't know. I think it might be. It's that sort of thing. It's got the same auto like in the likes of the Figaro, but I mean, what an interesting little car that is. It's great, isn't it? For a VW camper, and a great little minivan. Another old Princess here, so always a couple of them. I've seen those two before. Huge Granada. Here's the other TR6 in red. A couple of Escorts, another Mark 1, very nice rims. And a Mark 2 on the iconic mini lights. And then there's an E46 Cabriolet here, M3. Yet another MGB. Some more Escorts. I think Escorts are the car of the day, really. There's so many here. Another MGB. You always see loads of those anywhere you go. One of the quintessential classic British sports cars. Here's a Scimitar GTE. I believe these are the SE6A. I want to say the slightly later one. That's the Ford Essex V6 engine. I believe those went into the likes of the Capris as well. Many stickers on there. You can see how far it's mounted back to get the weight distribution right for handling. Very sort of period correct modified with this slightly strange two-tone, I'm not going to lie. And the Ross style, sorry, not Ross style, buff race wheels. There's also a rally chopper as well, very desirable now. And here, it's a great car. This is a Scimitar GTC, I want to say, with the same V6 engine, Fomaco, mounted very far back. And that's a very stylish little car. Really love the look of this one. Another 3-litre V6. Morgan here. There's always a good showing of those. Literally, as I say that, another Morgan poodles past there. It's a TVR Cherbra. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. An immaculate Chimera, Mark II Escort, Moggy Traveller, a Porsche, and a very lovely Beetle with the domed headlamps, nice and early one. Not the earliest with the split windows, just the little window at the back. I believe these early ones were 6 volt, unless it's been converted to 12 volt, which you do see sometimes, but very cool car. Here is a lovely little Mark 1 console. Just the little 4-cylinder in these, I believe. Winchester Blue, 1500 engine in these, column shift. Really stylish little car. 3-speed. So it's not exactly a speed machine, but very stylish little car indeed. There's another gorgeous little Beetle here as well. That's probably another 6 volt car. I'd imagine they are really, unless they've been converted at some point. But they really are stylish little cars. I like the earlier style of hubcaps, just really suits the curvy design of the body. Just really, really lovely car. Just around here is a Moggy Minor Cabriolet. Haven't seen any cabriolets yet. And a great little Triumph Spitfire 1500. Mark V, last of the Spitfires. There you go, 4-speed overdrive, 1500cc. Engine in this one, beautiful condition. On its own here is a sharp looking E46 M3. These are very desirable now. A lot of these get converted into track day cars, which are very cool in their own right, but nice to see. A road going one. Some of these have manual gearboxes, but it looks like this one has got paddle shift change. Another RS Escort with a swapped engine, perhaps like a Z-Tech engine in there. I'm not sure. Sierra Sapphire Cosworth. Mark III Golf GTI. And on the end here is a very cool little car. Well, not little at all. Why did I say that? An SL, but this has got all the American spec bits on it. So it's got the SL, American sort of big bumpers at the front, the twin lights that you often see with Mercedes. Mercedes were very popular in America. A Daimler-Benz product. There you go. Interesting to see. You also got the little boot brake light. I hope that doesn't go through your rear window whenever you put the boot up. It's a 380, so quite a large engine. Here is a very purposeful looking Evo. Next to an equally purposeful looking Subaru again. Nice front splitter on there. Things are starting to thin out. It's a great turnout today considering the slightly mixed weather forecast. It is a really great turnout. There's a Silver Shadow 2. Probably 80s that, but it doesn't look it, does it? It looks more 60s. Used that design for a long time. Another TVR Turbo here. These used TVR's own engine, which wasn't exactly known for its reliability. As the Ford Pop rolls past, the Chimera and Griffith both used like the Rover V8 engines in them, I believe, but these used the TVR's own engine, which wasn't the most reliable of engines, but I'm sure it's perfectly fine to live with when you get a good sorted out one. MG rolls past a TR6, quite a low looking Nissan 350Z here, very modified. A lot of these get modified. Really curvy, interesting shape in these, I think. Engine on show. A lot going on under there. V6 those are. And I must say, a little sort of guilty pleasure of mine is number plates to the side of cars. Just a little bit more interesting than having it always in the middle. Well, that's just me being a bit weird. As the very good sounding TR6 rolls past. Proper straight six burble. And we can have a look at all of the lovely cars here at the Capesthorne Hall Classic Car Show. And also the autojumble, where I've bought something very big. Another emerging classic could be this Ferrari 360, maybe a 360 CS, I don't know. It's got pedal shift, sort of late 90s, early 2000s I want to say. V8 in the back there. Not sure what they like to work on, but I think that is definitely going to be an emerging classic. There is a BMW Z3 like the one Dad used to have, a 2.8, great sounding car. Dad's was lowered and had the sort of body kit on it. It was quite cool actually, even though it doesn't usually like modified cars. There's an AMG GTR passes by. It's starting to get to sort of slightly more modern cars now. Mark IV Supra here. Once again, probably like a size 12 exhaust there. Nice body kit in there as well. I do quite like these Supras there. Cool looking cars. You can get crazy power out of the 2JZ. I've seen some sort of drag cars that have like 1,300 horsepower. Something crazy like that. There's a little buggy rolls in just over there. These can be very crazy. You don't see many stock ones. And here's the Mazda hardtop. If I had one of these, I'd probably put a hardtop on it because I think it looks great with that on it. Next to the 190. Here's the Supra. That's another Silver Shadow. Actually, no, that's a Bentley. That's a Bentley of a very similar shape. Oh, no, not a Silver Shadow. That is a Bentley. And here is an incredible Triumph Acclaim. I'm not going to lie, not the most interesting car on the world, but its condition is absolutely incredible. Let's have a look at the engine first of all. Just so fresh. Under there, everything is just so shiny. Let's have a little look at the arches of this. Just look at that. How clean is that all around there? Not a speck of dirt at all. So incredibly clean. This one. It's a very immaculate interior as well. That is such a time warp. Looks better than you, really. What an incredibly sort of presented car that is. Really like that. Beyond the Great Jowett is now a standard Vanguard in immaculate condition. I think there are a couple of these that are on the show scene. Interviewed an owner of one of these at the WEM Vehicles of Interest, along with actually beautiful old Mercedes. Surprised it's not here, but it's really worth watching that. It even got its own special video, so if you just search up like Mercedes 190 car traction interview or something, you'll find it. It's got a fascinating history to it. But today, obviously we're at Capesthorne, sadly that car is not here. But I'm sure our spirits can be lifted by this fantastic Triumph Vitesse. Nice looking exhaust there, the 2 litre straight 6 in these, which sound very good indeed with a sporty exhaust. I quite like the Wolf Race wheels on this one as well. Really suits this sort of era of car. And the Derby Bentley has actually got its bonnet up now. So let's have a little look at that huge straight 6 there. What a beauty of an engine that is. Really stunning car. Here's the really lovely Mark II as well. These originally wouldn't have had wires, but upgrading it to wires really does make it look great, because this just looks like any 3.8, but it's actually more than a litre less. In cubic centimetres, TR6. And here's the Bentley, very similar looking car to the likes of the Silver Shadow Rolls Royce, but no, this is a Bentley. I think I probably prefer these to the likes of the Rolls Royce variants, but really, really pretty car. It's interesting, it's got no bumper on the back. You don't see debumpered Bentleys very often. There's a lovely little BSA rolls past on the trailer. Love the look of this Moggy Minor police car. It said polite on the way in. I guess you're not really allowed to impersonate police cars, are you, for some silly reason, even though this obviously isn't going to be a serving vehicle, but oh well. At least they're allowed to sort of have it on in the show. I like the little police sort of box thing on the roof as well. This is a genuine ex-Metropolitan police car, so it's got the history to back it up. It's not just been made to look like that. Not exactly a high pursuit vehicle, but a lovely classic car nonetheless.
Passing shower.
Now there's quite a significant shower happening at the moment, so everyone's dashing back to their cars.
Whilst it's raining.
Oh, there's a gorgeous pre-war Vauxhall over there. I like the look of that. I'll have a look at that after. I'm actually quite peckish, so it's a bit of an excuse to go in the car anyway, but I don't mind getting wet that much. Didn't see that Marcos earlier. Oh, it's not very nice. I love this little pair of Beetles, the 6-volt ones. They're just gorgeous, I think. Oh, looks like Dad's already beaten me to it inside. Oh, he's even filming me on the way in. Oh, I forgot about my...
You're going to have to tip that outside. Put it on your lap. Put it on your lap. I'll hold your camera. Try and grab your camera.
Still recording.
Still recording, yes, I know. If you put that
I'm going to reveal
lap,
this at the end of the video.
You're not revealing it yet then?
No.
You're putting it outside then? Okay.
Yep. Well, it doesn't matter getting a bit wet, does it?
No. So I figured you won't be too far away.
Well, I'm a sensible person.
I just say it's a bit like being at Ragley Hall, wasn't it? We had to come and hide in the car for a bit.
Yes, it is.
It did get a little bit damp down at Ragley.
Trouble is, the food's in the back. It's a oh, there's an SS. There's a lovely pre-war Vauxhall I saw for a second over there. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I've not looked at it yet.
No, I need to have a look at it once this shower's passed.
Yeah, a bit of precipitation.
Now let's have a little look at this beautiful pre-war Austin 12.6. This is a light 6 saloon from 1935. What an absolute beauty that is. I love the look of these. The flutes on the bonnet, distinctive with the pre-war Vauxhalls. Lovely being a 6-cylinder car as well. Loving the bits of chrome down the side, the domed headlamps. Extremely stylish car, and it'll make a nice little burble with that relatively small capacity 6-cylinder. This era of car they went through, it was like taxed by the size of the bores or something, so you ended up having many small 6-cylinder cars, which were actually quite decent performance for the time. Next to that, a little MG midget on mini lights. But I love the look of that Vauxhall. Really, really pretty car.
Any pre-1960 vehicle that isn't a motorcycle.
Commercial. Just remember, Isadora Duncan, you want to be careful with long hair in sports cars.
Very true, very true. I'll get a headscarf.
And has she got a name? For our first 270s, we're never going to have more 1970s cars. Oh! Is that a princess or an ambassador?
Great sound of the straight six in that GT6. There's a Dolomite here we haven't seen before. Nice little car, Dolomite of course. Little Triumph TR3A. A very early MGC over here. This has got the early sprung steering wheel, which dates it to quite an early. If I had Dad here, I'd know what year it was, but unfortunately I don't, because I'm not that too smart when it comes to registration plates. Painted wires, very nice indeed. It's got the earlier interior, as I said, with the sprung steering wheel. Nice and easy 4 on the floor in these. But of course, the 3 litre straight 6 up front, with the aluminium, I believe, bonnets with the hump in the middle to accommodate that, before the likes of the V8 came on with the Rover V8. Not a very popular car in period, but now they have got a bit of their own classic status for that lovely 6-cylinder burble, like the Triumph we saw earlier. Another car with a 6-cylinder burble would be this Rover P4 here, 100, so I believe that'll be a 6-cylinder powered car.
People coming back in their year groups as well as their specialties. Now, a brace of Capri. The 2 professionals Capri sold at auction at Silverstone yesterday. The genuine ones used.
I was in a barn for about 8 years, just, you know, laying there at the end of the day. I've reached.
Even though he was given lots of modern alternatives.
Now I've just noticed something with this Series 2 E-Type, and I think it is great. So you see where the exhaust come out, right just below the number plate. Well, hopefully you can see around there the heat from the exhaust has slightly melted and blackened the plate, which I think is brilliant. It's like seeing the sort of soot on the boat tail backs of sort of pre-war racing cars, but E-Type style. I think that is just brilliant. It's a very funny little quirk next to the beautifully original Ford Popular 100E, very practical. Even says it in the rear window, practical classic.
Is it near the airport parking space?
Next to the gorgeous 6-volt Beetles.
Well, it was put in.
Someone else has come away with something good after our second visit to the autojumble, but I shouldn't be jealous because this is the find I've got, the Silcoline lubricants tin with the Concorde-esque plane on the front. I think it's a very good buy. Don't know where I'm going to put it. It is quite large. I'm going to have it on my lap on the way back.
Will you be doing an oily rag video, preservation video on this one, do you think?
Maybe a little one. I haven't decided yet, but I'm happy with that.
Well, that's a nice sticker.
It is a nice sticker.
Look at that beautiful sticker there.
Car traction one would be nicer, as modelled on that MG in Dad's video. Well, I'm really happy with that. I think it'll oil up a lot better. Be careful not to knock over your ones, moving it around, that I lent you money to buy. But still, I shouldn't be too annoyed because I've got that.
So once Mick has done his traffic warden duty and cleared the arena, we'll be looking for cars from
It's an old Ford. I mean, this was,
and obviously, as it's a retirement present to yourself, it was what you wanted, you shot for it. How long had you decided you anticipated, but hopefully they are listening. And Victoria has gone up to ask them politely if they would all like to join us. Any Mercedes-Benz from anywhere on the showground, be it a modern one, an ancient one. We'd lovely to have an SSK from the 20s coming.
A few Mercs rolling in now for the parade. Probably shouldn't stand right next to that. Here's the stunning W108 Tourer. What a beautiful car. Left-hand drive.
And just ask a few questions. You've been diligently judging class after class across the weekend, and the opportunity to duke it out for car of the show. Congratulations. Brilliant stuff.
Well, I think with that, that's just about this video done from the Capesthorne Hall Classic Car Show of August 2023. So many lovely classic cars have been here, but the field is a shadow of its former self. As you can see, it's getting quite late in the day, so we'll start making our way back. Most other people are packing up as well. So if you did like this, please let me know in the comments. Comment what your favourite car was, if you have any history with any of the cars here. And I'd love to hear what you've got to say in the comments. Remember to subscribe, check out the other classic shows events we've been to in the past. There probably will be a couple more classic show events videos in future this year, and of course many more next year and for many more years to come. So please remember to do all that, like the video, share it with your friends, and I think that's just about it. Thanks for watching.
Now, as the Mercedes is spinning, I will repeat the call. Anyone who has won a class earlier today, it's custom modified, sports convertible, coupe, 390.